And welcome everybody to Maybe Gymnasium here on the beautiful campus of Our Lady of the Lake University as we get ready for Red River Athletic Conference volleyball action. As your OLLU Saints get ready to take on the University of St. Thomas out of Houston. As the Saints on the year now at 11-5, 4-1 conference play, coming away with a straight set victory over Wiley College last night, 25-16, 25-21, and 25-17. Kendall Groff with 13 kills in that match last night as the Saints came together against a very big athletic team in Wiley and able to get the victory in straight sets. Tonight they take on St. Thomas, a rematch of last year's conference championship matchup where the Saints were able to take that one in 4 sets. The all-time advantage goes to St. Thomas, who has a one-game lead on the Saints all-time at 12 wins for the Celts and 10 or 11 for the Saints. And the Saints are also one game behind them in the Red River Athletics Conference today in the standings, as St. Thomas is 11-11 overall, 5-0 in conference. Saints look to even them up in conference and keep even them up all time as we get ready for the opening introductions and everything. We're going to have the opening prayer and the national anthem here in just a moment. And while we do that, we will take a break. You are watching Saints Volleyball on the OLLU Saints Network. The public address announce duties there for the Saints as we get ready to go now. And again, the Saints on the season 11-5 overall, 4-1 in conference. St. Thomas 11-11 and 5-0 in conference play. St. Thomas leads the all-time series 12 wins to 11 for the Saints. So the Saints hoping to tie up for first place here this afternoon. Stay going. As the Saints have not lost since October 23rd, 2014 here at Maybe Gymnasium. Brittany Martinez to start things off with the serve for the Saints. And that's sent over there by Regal. Back around, Smith. Nicely kept in the air by Grosjean. Back again, sent back by Wood. Tankwitt. And Martinez would just send it over. A little confusion there for St. Thomas. Bustamante, it's going to be a point, as they say. She caught it twice there, 2 touches. And it's 1-0 for St. Thomas to start things off here. Elizabeth Vincent has come in, and Brescia Orange has also checked in for St. Thomas. And serving is Vincent, the senior out of Deer Park. Wood sends it over, kept it back up there by Orange. Around, comes back, sent back at the net by Wood. Again, sent over, but that one's going to go down there. The point there from Brescia Orange, the sophomore from Longview. The Pine Forest region of East Texas, Northeast Texas. Out over to Swain, and that's put back, and it's going to be point for the Saints. And Saints are getting on the board, trailing by 1 here. Jessica Woloski checks in. Audrey Contreras is in, and she will be serving. Audrey leads the team in aces this season with 30. Average of just over half a serve a set. Sent back there by Vincent, sent over. Over the top there. And point there for St. Thomas, and they take a 3-1 lead. Last time these two met were in the conference championship game last year for the Red River Athletic Conference. Saints dropped the first set, then won 3 in a row to win their first ever Red River Athletic Conference tournament championship. Orange sends it back deep. Martinez there for it. Bustamante up ahead now. Swain. And that's going to be long. And a point for St. Thomas. And they've taken a 3-point advantage now as Grosjean to serve here for St. Thomas. Grosjean, a senior out of Baytown, Texas. Sends the serve over. Bustamante up. Swain sends it back. Coming over there's Vincent. Now set up again for Orange. Orange over the top. And that's going to be point, as they say, was touched by the Saints there, and it's going to be a 4-point advantage now for St. Thomas. And St. Thomas has come out storming here. Bustamante just trying to send it over. Stankiewicz able to do that. Now set up and sent there, and a regard is going to be long and point for the Saints. So Saints getting a break there. With regard, just went a little long or a little wide on that one. And the Saints draw to within 3. Janelle Solis to serve. Rivetta also checks in for the Saints. Set up, and that kind of mis-hitting there, trying to set, was Fernandez Miller, and kind of sent it behind Regal, and Regal goes into the net, and a point for the Saints, and the Saints draw to within 2 now. Solis over. Fernandez Miller. Over to Orange, over the top. Across, Swain. Back it goes, up in the rafters. Vincent keeps it alive. Grosjean will get it into the net, and point for the Saints, and the Saints are within 1 now, trailing 5-4 to St. Thomas. Back, Regal, down and point, and Regal with a point, and St. Thomas a 2-point advantage now over the Saints.
In for the Celts, number 7, number 4, Alan.
Now the serve here for Tadlock, the junior from Baytown. At the fence, and that's going to be slammed down by Orange. And 7-4 is our score here in favor of St. Thomas. Set number 1. Kept alive, nicely dug up there by Raven Swain. Woloski gets it to stay in, a point for the Saints. Kendall Groff is checked in. She'll be at the net. Now the serve here from Raven Swain. Orange kind of mishitting it. Going to be a service ace now. Raven to serve again here. Saints trailing by 1. Roisin sends it over. Solis sets back to Rivera. Dug up by Vincent. Behind over to Orange. Orange back. Swain there with it. Solis. Woloski over the top. Diving there. Nice dig. Picked up by Tedlock. That's over and a point for St. Thomas. And they're taking advantage by 2 once again. So, Alexandra Cano, the serve. Across there, over to Groff. Off the defender, point for the Saints, and Kendall Groff coming in and making an immediate difference here. Lonnie Wood in, Tanglewood to serve. The serve is up and over. Set up the back there, and that's going to be sent wide. And we're going to be tied up at 8. Saints looking to take their first lead of the match. That's down. Kendall Groff. That's it wide. Solis. Swain sends it all the way across over to Groff, who gets it over. Grosjean over the top there, and just, I believe, miscommunication there, and that led to the point there for St. Thomas, and they'll take the lead back. Well, they reclaim the lead here at 9-8. Saints trailing by 1. Is Emily Irwin, the senior from Sugar Land, Texas, to serve. And that'll be down at a point for the Saints, and we're tied at 9 now. Alani Smith checks back in. Lexi Bustamante in to serve. Bustamante now with the serve. Swain sends it over. And that's going to be a down. Ciara Takewick couldn't handle that one, in a point forward St. Thomas. Now the serve coming up here. Fernandez Miller. That's down. Sit there by Groff. And that'll be Kendall Groff to tie it up. And that'll be a service error and point for St. Thomas. And that's lost there also on the service ace for St. Thomas. And a 2-point advantage now for the Celts. Bustamante. Smith will send it. Grosjean keeps it alive. Fernandez Miller now over by Regaud. It's knocked over there by Lexi Bustamante to get the Saints to within one. Jessica Woloski is checked in. Audrey Contreras in to serve. Over the top of the net. Bustamante now sets up for Leilani Smith, and that's going to be long at a point for St. Thomas. And a 2-point lead. Curtis Grosjean, the senior from Baytown, to serve now. And Alani Smith. Now Solis with the serve. Over the net there, and it's going to find its way down there for the point. And again, a 2-point lead for St. Thomas. Tadlock sends it over. Solis sets up there for Woloski over the top. Tadlock sets back, set over, and that's going to find its way down. And that is Moran, the junior out of Houston, able to get that one down. 3-point advantage now for St. Thomas. Back it goes. Swain is down, and the point. Raven Swain draws the Saints back to within 2 now. Set forward. And Moran on the line and the point. Kendall Groff down, and that's going to go there on the net point for the Saints. 16-14 right now, the score for St. Thomas. Tanglewood still serving. Saints were able to tie it at 9. And there's going to be a point on the violation. I believe somebody came forward in a point for the Saints, and they'll be back to within 1 now. And the Saints get over the hump. Cross there over Moran and over, and point. Saints have tied it. 16 all the score. A serve here from Tanglewood. Just making it just over the net. Solis back to Rivetta. Kept alive by Solis. Groff goes up behind the antenna, and a point for St. Thomas. So it's 17-16 now in favor of St. Thomas. And coming in to serve here is Emily Irwin. Solis forward, Groff, and that's going to be out and a point for St. Thomas. And a 2-point lead for the Celts here in set number 1. Solis sets up behind to Rivera. Rivera off the top of the fingertips of the defenders, but sent back again. Over it goes, kept up there. And that's going to be point for St. Thomas. He's got 2 touches on it, and a 3-point advantage for St. Thomas. 19-16 our score. Saints trail by 3. We will take a break. Back in a moment. You're watching Saints Volleyball on the OLLU Saints Network. And welcome back to Maybe Gymnasium here on the beautiful campus of Our Lady of the Lake University in San Antonio, Texas. Saints trailing by 3 here in set number 1 to St. Thomas, 19-16 in this battle for first place in the Red River Athletic Conference. St. Thomas the all-time lead in this series, 12-11 over the Saints. St. Thomas had won 12 of the first 16 matchups between these two. And the Saints have won 7 straight. St. Thomas trying to end that, and they're doing a good job of trying to get that changed here as they've got a 4-point advantage now, 20-16. Emily Irwin, the senior from Sugar Land, Texas, to serve, will send it up and over. Solis right over the wood, sent back. Solis again. Across now over to Groff. Groff's shot is down and good. Kendall Groff with the kill. And a 5-point advantage now, or a 3-point advantage, I'm sorry, for St. Thomas over the Saints. Saints trying to fight their way back into this. Trailing by 3. Lexi Bustamante the serve. Set up behind. Ran there, and that misjudged the direction there was Raven Swain. She went one way, then had to come back with the other hand. And a 4-point advantage for St. Thomas. Lauren Fernandez-Miller, the sophomore out of Houston, to serve here for St. Thomas. With the serve up and over. Bustamante up high to Groff, and 2 touches. And that's probably the 4th time now. I think it's the 4th time I've seen it, and 3 of them for Lexi Bustamante. And the Saints trailing it by 5 here in set number 1. Is another timeout. We'll take it as well. You're watching Saints Volleyball on the OLLU Saints Network. And welcome back to Maybe Gymnasium here on the beautiful campus of Our Lady of the Lake University, as this first set is starting to get away from the Saints as they trail by 5 to St. Thomas, 22-17. Fernandez-Miller with the serve. Miss hit there a little bit, but kept alive. Swain now sends it back. And it goes over the side, and Vincent gets it down. And it's a 6-point advantage. And St. Thomas, looks like they're starting. They're about to take control of this first set. And point for the Saints. As they draw now to within 5. And that's going to be set point now for St. Thomas. Bustamante. Out over to Swain. Off the fingertips there. Grosjean sends it now. Fernandez-Miller. We're gone. That's going to be out. Point. St. Thomas takes the first set. 25-18. We will head to the second set here in just a second. You're watching Saints Volleyball on the OLLU Saints Network. And welcome back to Maybe Gymnasium. Saints dropped that first set, 25-18 to St. Thomas. Hoping to turn things around here in set number 2. Saints played very poorly that first set. 15 kills for St. Thomas, 11 for the Saints. St. Thomas with a .376 attack percentage. The Saints just a .171. 13 assists for St. Thomas, 10 for the Saints. 18 digs for St. Thomas, just 10 digs for the Saints, and 1 ace apiece. The Saints just seemed kind of flat-footed there in that first set and making some mental errors and not reacting to the ball. Let's see if they can get things going correct here in the second set, trailing 1-0. Woloski sends that over, and that's going to be kept alive there by Swain and put over by Rivetta. Back again, Swain again had to dive for that one. Sends over there Woloski. Down, and violation point for the Saints, and the Saints take a 1-0 lead. Their first lead of this match coming here in the second set, and now 1-0 second set. And we're going to even things up there now, 1 point apiece now. Set number 2, Saints trailing 1-0. The serve is over. Now up, around over to Groff, and whistle, and 2 touches. This time, Janelle Solis with that one. And that is, I believe, the 5th time in this match the Saints have been called for that. And that's not something they normally do. Rivetta, and that's going to be long. And a point for St. Thomas, and that tells me that there's a lack of concentration maybe out there on the court today. Solis. And again, 5th time, 6th time now, and back. And 2 of the last 3 points have been because of that. Solis picks up her second. Now sends that one. Rivetta, and that's going to be back again. And St. Thomas comes charging out, and a timeout called early on here. And the Saints are in a little trouble here in the second set. We'll be back in a moment. You're watching Saints Volleyball on the OLLU Saints Network. And welcome back to Maybe Gymnasium. Saints trailing now 5-1 over St. Thomas. And the serve over there. Solis sends it up. Groff had it sent right back down. Solis sends it back again over to Groff. Kendall Groff gets it down. And maybe that's a little spark they needed, as Lexi Bustamante coming back in, as well as Leilani Smith. Bustamante to serve now. The Saints trailing at 5-2 in set number 2, down 1-0. And that is Miller, and there's 2 touches. And the Saints pulled within 2. Now back. McGraw sends it, kept alive by Bustamante. Tankovic, Groff over the top, diving in is Grosjean. Orange sent back at the net and down at a point for St. Thomas off the defenders, off the block. So Candace Grosjean, the serve over, back as Groff. Swain around over to Smith. Smith gets it, sent back. Groff nicely keeping that alive. Smith again gets that one over. Now set across over to Orange. Orange just punches it right into the net. And the Saints now draw to within 2 here in set number 2. And a point for St. Thomas on that one. St. Thomas a 3-point advantage now as Moran is checked in, as well as Tadlock. Tadlock will be serving. Smith, and that's going to be wide and a point for St. Thomas. And the Celts now with a 4-point advantage as they've doubled up the Saints 8-4. Bustamante, Smith send back on wide point Saints. It's a blocking error. Jessica Woloski is checked in. Audrey Contreras is checked in as well. Serve is over. Moran sends it, and Swain catches the antenna. The Saints are just late reacting. They're late reacting on shots here from St. Thomas. Trailing by 5. Bustamante, Woloski just sneaks it over the top of the net as he just crawled over. And the return is underneath, and Saints trail by 3. And now Janelle Solis to serve. Now set up, and that's sit down, back again. Tankovic. Now set across, Rivetta over the top. Underneath the net, goes off of Grosjean and off of Walker. And the Saints draw to within 2 now. Solis sends it up and over. And that's sent back by Vincent. And that's going to get a point for the Saints, and they're going to draw to within 1 now. As the net defenders, a great job sending that one back for the Saints. Solis, the serve. Set up her crossover to Moran. That's down just past the reach, just beyond the reach there of Brittany Martinez. And it's a 2-point advantage again. Like the first set, the Saints get close. They get to within 1, and St. Thomas extends the lead a little bit more. Can they get over that hump here in the second set? Solis to Woloski. Now set up. Moran is going to be long, a point for the Saints. The Saints back to within 1. Can they come over this hump here? And they get over this and tie it up and then take the lead. They were not able to do in the first set, and that's going to be 2 touches, and we're tied. 10-all the score. Raven Swain. Now Vincent sends it back. Tankovic, a nice dig. Up by Solis or Groff. Off defenders. Saints take the lead at 11-10.
Saints take the lead, 11-10.
And now the serve. Cross at the net, pushed down by Kendall Groff. Kendall Groff gives the Saints a 2-point lead. Timeout, St. Thomas. We'll take a timeout too. Saints take the lead, 12-10. You're watching Saints Volleyball, the OLLU Saints Network. And welcome back to Maybe Gymnasium here on the beautiful campus of Our Lady of the Lake University. Saints with a 12-10 lead. Have a little news and notes going on around campus right now. Women's soccer in action right outside at the soccer field as they lead Paul Quinn College 4-0 early on in the first half. And a service ace there from Raven Swain, her second ace of the match, and it gives the Saints a 3-point advantage here in set number 2. Back around it comes. Moran sent back down and blown up at the net by Kendall Groff. And a 4-point lead now for the Saints. Set back there. Moran gets that one down just past the reach of Tankowick, and a point for St. Thomas. They trail by 3. That's a good sign for the Saints to come back and take that lead as they got a 4-point lead there, got those first 2 points, starting off with that service ace out of the timeout. So many times in volleyball you'll see a timeout where a team who calls the timeout will come back and get the point. And that time the Saints able to deny that and get a couple of points on St. Thomas off the timeout. Vincent tries to sneak it over. Rivetta. And that's going to be a whistle. And I believe the 7th time now that the Saints are called on that violation there. Janelle Solis. 2-point lead for the Saints. Solis, they head over to Groff. Kendall Groff there, right off of Fernandez Miller. And into the stands, and the point for the Saints. And a timeout call by the Saints. Saints lead by 3. You're watching Saints Volleyball on the OLLU Saints Network. And welcome back. Set number 2, Saints with a 3-point advantage, 15-12. Tankowick serving. Saints trying to even up this match, trailing 1-0 to St. Thomas. And missed hit a little bit by Vincent, but Fernandez Miller able to keep it alive. And there's Solis across the Groff, and Groff there. And that hit hard there, but able to return there is St. Thomas. Fernandez Miller. Rivetta off the side of the head of Fernandez Miller, and a point for the Saints as the freshman Rivetta giving the Saints a 4-point advantage now at 16-12. Up and over goes Regault. So Lee sneaks it over, but Grosjean keeps it alive. Fernandez Miller into the net, point Saints. 5-point advantage here. Serve is over. That is Miller. Crossover to Regatta. Long point Saints. 6 points is the advantage now for the Saints. Their largest of the match. Fernandez Miller. Swain. Solis sets up. And Kendall Groff and Leilani Wood didn't jump for that one. And Kendall Groff, nothing she could have done about it. And the point and the 8-point run for the Saints has come to an end as St. Thomas now back to within 5. Groff off the defenders, goes off, point Saints. Kendall Groff, another one. Leilani Smith and Lexi Bustamante to check in. Groff now with 9 kills in the match. And she's just been on a tear for the Saints. Trying to keep them in it. Fernandez Miller, Regatta, 2 touches, and a point for the Saints. As they lead by 7 now here in set number 2. Fernandez Miller up, orange, long point Saints. 7-point advantage and a timeout, St. Thomas. Saints lead by 8. You're watching Saints Volleyball on the OLLU Saints Network. And welcome back to Maybe Gymnasium. Saints with an 8-point advantage here in set number 2 against St. Thomas. As Lexi Bustamante to serve for the Saints. Sends the serve up and over. Fernandez Miller. Forward there to Orange, is sent back down. Point Saints. And a 9-point advantage here. And sent down Leilani Wood. Oh no, point for the Saints. As Wood, it looks, I think she went over the net too far. The violation there. And now with an 8 now it's St. Thomas. Rogine to serve. And down, point for the Saints. Vincent Slow getting up, but does get up. 9-point advantage here. Fernandez Miller, Regatta, sit down. Set point for the Saints. As Brittany Martinez to serve here for the Saints, trying to give them the second set. Swain sends it over. Over the top there, Tankaway. Snuck over into the net. Point Saints take set number 2. 25-14. We'll take a break. You're watching Saints Volleyball on the OLLU Saints Network. And welcome back as we get ready for the second set to get underway here from Maybe Gymnasium. As the Saints tied it up, getting the win there 25-14 after dropping the first set 25-18 to St. Thomas. 23 kills in the match now for the Saints, 20 for St. Thomas. Attack percentage for the match now, Saints 233, St. Thomas 148. Assists, Saints 21-18. Diggs still in favor of St. Thomas, 24-20. But aces 2-1 in favor of the Saints. Kendall Groff, 10 kills in the match so far for the Saints, helping lead the team back. And this one, that's going to be sent back down, but a point for St. Thomas as it goes wide. At 1-0, the score. Up and over. Solis sets up for Woloski over the top. Back goes Fernandez. Over. Renault. Rivetta. Groff sent back down and in. Point St. Thomas. St. Thomas out to the first 2 points of this third set. It's Vincent for the serve. Up and over. Solis sends a cross over to Groff. Sent back down again. And St. Thomas out quickly to a 3-0 lead here in set number 3. And down again, St. Thomas 4-0 to start the third set. Vincent's serve again, up and over, into the net, actually not over, into the net, a service error, and the Saints getting a break there with the service error, and they'll get on the board here in set number 3.
Number 8, Audrey Trash.
There we go, Orange. Solis. Back around Rivetta. Rivetta in, just inside the line to draw the Saints back to within 2 now. As we get ready for the serve here. And back we go in there. 6-3 the score in favor of St. Thomas. Bustamante back to Groff. Kendall Groff kept alive by Vincent. He's forward. And over by Moran. Bustamante. And there's Groff off the defender. Point Saints. Saints back to within 2 now. Moran over and point for St. Thomas. So 7-4 the score in favor of St. Thomas here. Now set up there. Over is Martinez. Rashawn. Cardenas get it over. And that's going to find its way down as the Saints find themselves out of position. And now trailing it 8-4. And St. Thomas has regained their largest lead in this third set. Martinez, the Swain, over the top there. As able to send it back over. They're off the defenders and the points for the Saints. As Leilani Smith able to get that one. As Stankowicz's serve. Jessica Woloski is checked back in. Over the top of the net, just getting there. And that's going to be sent down, but a point for St. Thomas as it's out. And 9-5 is our score in favor of St. Thomas. As Don Walker comes out, serving is Irwin. Sets up back, Smith gets it in, Leilani Smith. Leilani Smith now picking up her 5th kill of the match. The Saints trailing at 9-6. The serve there from Solis. Tadlock sends it back to Moran and blown up at the net by Raven Swain. And the Saints draw back to within 2 now. Set over, dug up nice by Martinez. Swain over the top there, the defenders. Tadlock there for it. Groshane sends it back. Vincent sent right back again. Vincent will put it up. Tadlock back to Vincent again. Into the net, point Saints. Saints to within 1 now. This was the point of the match when the Saints started to get their groove back a little bit in set number 2. Solis sets it back. Rivera touched by the defenders. Point for the Saints. We're tied at 9.
9-9, set 3.
And that's going to be a service error. And that'll give St. Thomas the lead now, 10-9. Regalt is checked back in. Fernandez Mello to serve for St. Thomas. St. Thomas with a 1-point lead over the Saints. Woloski. And point for St. Thomas. And a 2-point advantage now. And a service error, point for the Saints. The Saints draw back to within 1 now. Can they tie it again? Raven Swain up and over. Fernandez Miller sent back by Vincent. Solis forward to Groff. Groff over the top of the fingertip of the defenders. And now back around. Sent down but kept alive by Woloski. Groff will send it back. Fernandez Miller. Crochet. Regalt off the fingertips. And cannot get there. The point for St. Thomas and a 2-point lead at 12-10. Vincent to serve here. Up and over. Solis sets up, Groff down, and point for the Saints, Kendall Groff. And the Saints draw to within 1 here. Audrey Contreras to serve, up and over. Hernandez Miller up, and that's nicely dug up by Raven Swain. Solis will send it over. Back it goes. As Rivera is going to be long, they say, and a point for St. Thomas. Gauguin to serve. Solis forward now. Back Rugat. And that'll be down. And a 4 or 3-point advantage now for St. Thomas at 14-11. Serve is over. Solis at the net. As Cardenas is put back down. So go there. And a 4-point lead for St. Thomas at 15-11 here in set number 3. Solis back to Rivera. Rivera gets it down. And we'll draw the Saints to within 3. Lexi Bustamante in along with Leilani Smith. Now sets back. Regault gets it down. And a 4-point lead for St. Thomas here at 16-12. And Tadlock to serve. Bustamante to Groff, and point for the Saints. As Kendall Groff helps to bring the Saints back to within 3 here. As Kendall Groff with her 15th kill of the match. Smith over the top. That's going to be 2 touches and a point for the Saints. Saints trail by 2 here. And they make a run like they did in set number 2. We'll have to start here with Brittany Martinez. As Walker is just in. Don Walker gets that one. And a 3-point lead for St. Thomas. St. Thomas has done a great job of finding areas of the court where the Saints are nowhere near. And Raven Swain takes frustration out there on Tadlock. And the Saints draw to within 2. Tankiewicz to serve. Jessica Woloski at the net. Saints trail by 2. We're all tied up 1 set apiece. Tadlock, Walker sends it over. Tankiewicz over to Smith. Off the defenders, points for the Saints. Saints are back to within 1 now. Serve is over. Now back across. It goes Moran. Nicely dug up there from Martinez. Swain. Grosjean sets up back. Over to Vincent. Leilani Smith kept alive. Over by Bustamante. Back it goes to Vincent. Martinez. Bustamante to Woloski. Off of Walker, off of Vincent. Point for the Saints. We're tied at 17. And a timeout called by St. Thomas. 17-17, 1 set apiece. We got a good one. You're watching Saints Volleyball on the OLLU Saints Network. Welcome back to Maybe Gymnasium here on the beautiful campus of Our Lady of the Lake University. It's 17-17 in the third set, one set apiece. Look at some of your stats here that we got going so far. Kills 25 for St. Thomas. 35 for the Saints, 28 for St. Thomas. Attack percentage of 225 for the Saints, 175 for St. Thomas. 33 assists for the Saints, 25 for St. Thomas. 36 digs for the Saints, 35 for St. Thomas. And the aces right now in favor of the Saints at 2-1. And we've had a big match. 14 kills for Kendall Groff, who's not on the floor at the moment. Tackle it. Around over to Leilani Smith. Gets it down, and the point for the Saints. And the Saints take the lead, 18-17. Leilani Smith with the kill, going to be her fourth kill now of the match. Which I'm not sure about that number, but I think she'd had a couple more than that. But now it's going to be tied up by St. Thomas as we even things up there at 18 apiece. Back and forth they go here in the third set. And the serve here from Irwin. Over, tangle it nicely. Bustamante, Swain gets it and out! Just past the reach of the diving Cano. And Raven Swain gets one down there for the Saints. Raven Swain, her fifth kill of the match. She's got 8 digs as well. Moran could have let that one go, and that would have been a point for the Saints, but down we go with Jessica Woloski to give the Saints a 2-point advantage at 20-18. The serve for Solis. Tadlock over to Gordeau and gets it down. And St. Thomas draws back to within 1 here. The serve now for Lauren Fernandez-Miller. Now back to Swain. Raven there, gets it to go. Raven Swain helps give the Saints a 2-point advantage, and she will serve now for the Saints. And there, some power there from Vincent off of Tegowitz and Swain, and a point for St. Thomas. Pulls the Celts back to within 1. And into the net there is Kendall Groff. Not getting a clean hit on that one, and we're going to be tied at 21 now. St. Thomas charging back with a run of their own here. Serve is over. Solis to Groff. There at the net, it finds the floor, and a point for the Saints. 22-21 now the score. Saints by 1 here in set number 3. 1 set apiece. Audrey Contreras to serve. Came into the match with 30 aces on the season, led the team. Bordeaux back, point Saints, has 4 touches. And it's going to be a timeout by the Celts. Saints with a 2-point lead over St. Thomas. We'll take a break. You're watching Saints Volleyball on the OLLU Saints Network. And welcome back to Maybe Gymnasium. Saints with a 23-21 lead over St. Thomas here. Here in set number 3. Saints trying to take a 2-1 lead. Contreras with the serve is over. Fernandez Miller up. It's going to be long, and that's going to be set point for the Saints. As Audrey Contreras will serve now, about giving the Saints this third set here at set point 24-21. Audrey Contreras. And that's going to be a service error and point for St. Thomas. We have to try it again. 24-22. And up and over there, and Kendall Groff gets it down, and the Saints take this third set, 25-22 over St. Thomas. They lead 2-1. We'll be back in a moment. You're watching Saints Volleyball on the OLLU Saints Network. And welcome back to Maybe Gymnasium as the fourth set about to get underway. Right now, in the first half still at the OLLU soccer field, the Saints women lead 7-0. Actually, no, second half now. 7-0 over Paul Quinn. Well on their way to a victory, as they have scored 17 goals in the last 2 matches now. And a service error for St. Thomas to start things off. Point for the Saints, 1-0. As Audrey Contreras comes in, Cardenas comes in. She'll be at the net, along with Groff and Rivetta. Solis and Swain back. The serve from Contreras. Back it goes Regal. Solis back. Rivetta gets it down. Anissa Rivetta. Anissa Rivetta. And 2-0 now Saints here in this fourth set. Saints trying to close it out. trying to have a repeat of the conference tournament championship where the Saints lost the first set and came back to win the next three, and now they have a 3-0 lead to start things off here. And a service error there from Contreras. And St. Thomas will be on the board trailing 3-1. Vincent to serve here. Solis, Cardenas, nice. Over Vincent, and the Saints taking a 4-1 lead now. And another update from the soccer field. Second half, 8-0. Saints women's soccer have scored 18 goals in 2 games now. Bustamante, Swain, kept alive there. Rashawn, Regault, and just off the fingertips of Raven Swain. Swain might have been able to let that one go, and it might have gone out on its own there, but it's going to be a point for St. Thomas, who now trails it by 2. The serve, Bustamante. Cardenas sent back down as Leilani Smith kind of just wiped at it and went over, and a point for St. Thomas. And St. Thomas now to within 1. As Candice Grosjean, or Grosjean there, gets it over. Back over to Groff. Grosjean just kind of like hit it back, and again Grosjean. Bustamante to Leilani Smith. Bustamante set up by Swain, and they said she got it twice. And we're going to be tied at 4 now. Saints come storming out, and St. Thomas answers. Up it goes, and nicely kept alive by Kendall Groff. Groff back, sends it, Vincent. Fernandez Miller, now over to Orange. Into the net, and not able to keep it alive, and a point for St. Thomas. They take the lead. 5 in a row now for St. Thomas, as they come back after trailing 4-0. That's the urgency now for St. Thomas, trailing 2-1. Over the net, Kendall Groff, the point for the Saints. 5-all the score. Kendall Groff now 17 kills in the match. Brittany Martinez to serve. Across over to Orange. Long point, Saints. 6-5, Saints lead it. Tegwood to Smith. Now Fernandez Miller. Orange. And point for the Saints. Violation is, I believe someone came forward. Orange, I think, came forward in the zone, wasn't supposed to, and now it's going to be a point for the Saints, and the Saints have a 2-point advantage now. And Raven Swain, too much on that one. St. Thomas back to within 1. As Tadlock to serve. Bustamante behind to Smith. Sent out, point Saints. 2-point lead now for the Saints. So Jessica Woloski has checked in, and the serve from Tegwick is over. Tadlock up. Moran. Woloski is going to go up and out and over, point Saints. Saints with a 3-point advantage here.
Saints lead 9-7.
9-7 now. St. Thomas pulls back to within 2. And that's going to be down on the line. Milani Smith gets that one. The Saints with a 3-point advantage. Rivetta has checked in. Janelle Solis in. Solis over. Tadlock. Moran sent back down. Moran then used the elbow. Nice job to keep it alive. Now Vincent. Pegowick, Solis over to Swain. Raven Swain sends it back, kept alive by Cano. Moran there, dug back up by Martinez. Actually, it's going to be out long in point.
In for St. Thomas, number 3, Ty Dell.
And so St. Thomas
And number 12.
pulls to within 2 now. Solis off the defender's point for the Saints as Rivetta. Kendall Groff to check in now. So Kendall Groff back in, 17 kills. The team record for most kills in a match is 27. So about 10 away now, and that's going to be catches the antenna point for the Saints. 4-point advantage. As Marquisha Matthews did against Texas Wesleyan on October 30th, 2010. So about a 6-year-old record there that is within reach. We'll see what can happen here. The Saints lead by 3 over St. Thomas here, 12-9. Fernandez Miller to serve. Solis, Woloski, send back down. Solis, nice dig. Swain, up and over. Back around, Regault, back over, and Solis can't get that one. Point St. Thomas. St. Thomas back to within 2 now. Back, put up again. Fernandez Miller just has to get it over for St. Thomas and does. Now set up there for Kendall Groff. 18 kills now for the senior from Helotes. And she gives her team a 3-point lead over St. Thomas. Audrey Contreras now. And a service ace for Audrey Contreras, and the Saints with a 4-point lead now. That's Contreras picking up her 3rd service ace of the match. And that's able to get it over. Solis back to Rivetta, back again. Sent down by Cardenas. Over they go. Rivetta, Groff. And it kept alive. Solis across the Groff again, over the top. And that's going to be a point for the Saints. Touched it twice, so no kill there. And a 5-point lead for the Saints. Timeout called. 15-10 is the score. We'll take a break. You're watching Saints Volleyball on the OLLU Saints Network. And welcome back to Maybe Gymnasium. Saints with a 5-point lead at 15-10 here over St. Thomas. And that is Miller. That's it there, and that's going to find its way down as Taylor Mitchell Well, not Taylor, I'm sorry, that was Vincent who was able to get that one down. And Vincent now serves. Solis sends it up over to Rivetta. Jean. Nicely there as Cardenas knew where it was. Groff got lost for a moment. Back by Orange. Swain. Tankowick. Rivetta over the top. And that's going to be point. 4 hits for the Saints. St. Thomas trying to get back into it now, trailing by 3. Solis across the Groff, sent back down, Tankowick. Solis again, this time Cardenas gets it over. Galt there at the net, blown up, no, they're gonna say it went down, that went on this side. And so the point for St. Thomas, they trail by 2. I thought they had blocked it, but no, it got actually down there. Vincent. Swain sends it back. Galt kind of mishits that one, but keeps it alive. Now Solis will send it across the Groff. Groff gets it down, 19 kills, Kendall Groff. So Bustamante here to serve. That's going to be a point. 2 touches. 17-13, Saints lead it. Tankowick, Regald sends it back down and brings St. Thomas back to within 3. And back down. Swain sends it, and Miller there, Don Miller, nicely there, but Leilani Smith gets it up in the rafters. Going to be sent back by Orange. Swain back over to Groff. Groff put down there. Grosjean. Sit over. Bustamante. Cardenas, and that's 2 touches again by the Saints setters. And that'll put St. Thomas back to within 2 here. Bustamante to Smith, and again. Concentration seems to be an issue here at times for the Saints, and they're letting St. Thomas back into it. Trailing, St. Thomas now trails the Saints by 1. Vincent, back long point Saints. And Brittany Martinez will come in. Kendall Groff will come out. Don't know if we'll see her again in this match if the Saints can end it here. She's got 19 kills, and she's 1 shy of the 20 kill mark. And a point there for St. Thomas. It's a new season high for kills for her. And 18-18 is our score. We will take a timeout as St. Thomas back in it. You're watching Saints Volleyball on the OLLU Saints Network. We're all tied at 18 here. Third set. Tadlock with the serve. Bustamante up. Smith will send it back and over. Rajan. Orange gets it down in front of Brittany Martinez, and that will give St. Thomas the lead now at 19-18. Bustamante sets up. Unable to return there off of Raven Swain's kill. And it's 19-all now. So Woloski's checking in. Begwood sets up. Now sit over. Bustamante. Swain out. Point Saints. Saints take the lead back 20-19 now. That's going to go down. Point Saints. 21-19. And timeout St. Thomas. Saints with a 2-point lead. We'll take a break as well. You're watching Saints Volleyball on the OLLU Saints Network. And welcome back to Maybe Gymnasium. Saints leading St. Thomas 21-19 here. Orange sends it over. Woloski and 2 touches again. And a point for St. Thomas. They pulled it within 1. Serve is over. And down by Raven Swain. Will give the Saints a 2-point lead now. As Walker's shot dug up there by Solis. Swain again. Gets it to go down. Raven Swain. As Raven now with her 9th kill of the match to go with 12 digs now. Solis, Woloski, sent down Martinez. Rivera sending it back. Tadlock over to Vincent, and that's going to be in on the line. A point for St. Thomas. And they will draw to within 2. Emily Irwin, the senior from Sugar Land, Texas, to serve for the Celts of St. Thomas. And the serve is up and over. Back around Swain. Back towards the corner. Kept alive. Irwin. Vincent over the top there, and that's going to fall to the floor. And a point for St. Thomas. They're within one here in set number 4. Irwin again to go here. 23-22 Saints lead. They lead 2-1, trying to close it out. St. Thomas trying to keep fighting. Sent back down and blown up at the net by Vincent, and a point for St. Thomas. We're tied at 23. And a timeout called by the Saints. 23-23 is our score, and it's going to have been a good one. It's been 4 sets so far, and the Saints leading 2-1. Saints dropped the first set 25-18, took the second 25-14, took the third 25-22, and now we're at 23-23. Saints with 54 kills, St. Thomas with 45. Saints attack percentage at .265. St. Thomas at .189. Assist in favor of the Saints at 52-39. Diggs, 1 dig separating these two teams. Saints with 52, 51 for St. Thomas. 4 service aces for the Saints, 1 for St. Thomas. Heck of a match for Kendall Groff. She's got 19 kills here in the match and a .378 attack percentage. And also Raven Swain. She's been out there 9 kills, 12 digs. Also for the Saints, having a heck of a match so far. 23-23, the serve coming over. Couldn't have let that one go, would have been out. So Lace gets it over. Sets up across, and that's going to be a point for the Saints. Match point for the Saints. And Kendall Groff coming in with 19 kills. If she can get a kill here, she'll be just the 5th Saint player in team history to have 20 kills or more. Miss hit there, as they're just going to try and get it over. Will they be able to set it up for Kendall Groff? Across the Groff, she goes, 20 kills! The 5th Saint in team history with 20 kills. She does it here against St. Thomas as they get the victory, 25-23. Kendall Groff, the big match here. Saints again winning it 3-1, taking that final set there. Kendall Groff with it. She gets 20 kills on the match and helping the Saints get the victory. And they will improve now to 5-1 in conference play. They are tied for first place with St. Thomas. We'll see how Southwest did today, as they were a game behind St. Thomas before this one as well. Saints get the victory. They go to 12-5, 5-1 in conference play. St. Thomas will drop to 11-12 and are now 5-1 in Red River Athletic Conference play. The season's, they're tied at first place in the Red River. The all-time matchup is now tied at 12 victories apiece. Saints get the win. 20 kills for Kendall Groff, 5th player in team history to get that. She's in there, and a pretty nice little group of people that she's a part of there as she joins Marquisha Matthews, Christine Ruckman, Alicia Blanco, and Lisa Rodriguez as members of the 20-kill, at minimum 20-kill club. So, for everybody here, Saints get the victory, 25-23. Next matchup for the Saints will be coming up here on Wednesday, as they will take on Tuesday, against the Schreiner University, a 6 p.m. start time here at Mabee Gymnasium as a non-conference matchup before they hit the road for conference play in Austin against Houston Tillotson. Then they play St. Mary's in a non-conference matchup on the 11th of October. Then travel to Houston, rematch with the University of St. Thomas and then Wiley College, and then they head home against Trinity, try and get the rematch against Southwest on the 21st. So Saints win it 3-1. They're in first place again in the Red River Athletic Conference. So from everybody here at Mabee Gymnasium, Mike Thompson saying so long, everybody. We'll see you next time.